When Momo sees Jiji again, she's completely caught off guard. Okarun, on the other hand, notices Jiji's tough guy vibe but isn't impressed by his over-the-top reaction to Momo's surprised face. Air is also there, and all three of them are just not feeling Jiji's energy. Siko invites Jiji to make himself at home, and then casually drops the bombshell he's moving in. Momo's stunned, Okarun's confused, and Era jumps to the wild conclusion that Momo's gathering an army for some big battle. She storms out, vowing to stop Momo, who's now stuck dealing with both Jiji and Era's nonsense. Before Okarun leaves, Momo asks him to say goodbye properly and he mirrors her "see you tomorrow," which leaves them both feeling a little awkward and flustered. Later, Momo confronts Siko like, "Why is Jiji living with us?" Siko explains that his parents are in the hospital and she's happy to help him out, especially since he's been showering her with compliments. While washing dishes, Jiji apologizes for being a jerk to Momo when they were kids and casually mentions he can now see spirits. Momo's like, "Wait, have you seen a golden ball?" but quickly backs off when he looks clueless. He then spills that his house is haunted by an evil spirit that drove all the exorcists he hired to. Well, not great ends. Desperate, he turned to Siko as his last hope. Momo reassures him that Siko can handle it, but Siko drops another bombshell. Momo has to deal with the spirit because Siko's powers only work in Kamigo City. Oh, and she throws in the offer of new uniforms if Momo agrees. At school, Jiji introduces himself to his new classmates and immediately starts flirting with a girl. He ends up sitting next to Momo, who's trying really hard to ignore him. Miko and Moko, Momo's friends, get the scoop from Jiji that he's living with her, and he totally exaggerates their relationship, calling it affectionate. Momo's so annoyed, she literally strangles him. Meanwhile, Okarun's freaking out about the possibility of Momo getting close to Jiji, her first love, and decides to distance himself. To distract himself, he sneaks off to train during lunch. But then Momo shows up, trying to keep an eye on him after the whole error incident. She even offers to feed him while he's lifting weights, which leaves him stunned. Just as he's about to accept, Jiji swoops in with Momo's favorite yogurt, making her super happy. Seeing Momo so cheerful with Jiji, Okarun walks away, deciding to keep his distance from now on, but then things get weird. Okarun spots an anatomical model, yeah, like a creepy mannequin, rushing toward him and yells a warning to Momo. She's about to use her powers to stop it, but Jiji pulls her out of the way. The model leaps over them and Momo notices something shiny attached to it. She thinks it might be Okarun's Kintama. She tries to grab it but gets dragged along by the model's speed, with Jiji hanging on for dear life. Okarun transforms into Turbo Granny and chases after them to help. Momo's struggling to keep control of the runaway anatomical model, but it's fast. She tries to use her psychic powers to grab Okarun but accidentally sends herself and Jiji flying toward an oncoming bus. Turbo Granny Okarun swoops in just in time, saving them and letting them ride on his back. Momo explains to Jiji that the creature he's riding is actually Okarun, which blows his mind. Together, they try to pull in the anatomical model, but it disassembles itself to escape, leaving behind its heart. Momo follows the sound of its cries and tracks it down to a junkyard. She tries to reassure it, saying they just want to check out the golden spear attached to it. Suddenly, they hear a female voice calling out for the model, named Taro. Taro rushes to the trash to rescue Hana, a female anatomical doll he's been longing to see. He confesses his feelings for her, despite her attempts to persuade him to leave her behind. Watching this, Okarun can't help but see the parallels between Taro's love for Hana and his own feelings for Momo. He blushes, realizing just how much he cares for her. And yeah, it's a whole mess of emotions, weirdness, and creepy mannequin drama. After bringing Hana to the Aya's house, Okarun, Momo, and Jiji all drop to their knees and beg Siko to let her stay. Siko's first thought is, why not just keep her at Okarun's place? But Okarun insists the Aya's house is the better option. Momo backs him up, reminding Siko that they let Turbo Granny stay, which annoys the talking cat to no end. Being compared to an anatomical doll, Momo explains that Taro, the other doll, went back to their school's science classroom but will only stay if he gets to visit Hana regularly. She also clears up that the shiny ball he had was just a Christmas ornament, not Okarun's Kintama. After some serious begging from the trio, Siko finally agrees to let Hana stay, as long as her relationship with Toro doesn't cause any neighborhood drama. She then heads to the kitchen to make dinner, telling Momo to set the table. While Momo's setting the table, Jiji compliments her and Okarun on their powers. He even picks a piece of lint off Momo, sparking some playful banter that makes her smile. Okarun, watching this, can't help but think about Taro's confession to Hana and feels like he needs to step up. He vaguely tells Momo he's taking a stand, which leaves her confused. Then, out of nowhere, Okarun starts singing and Jiji joins in, much to Momo's annoyance as they're totally messing up her table setting. Siko yells at them to stop because they're kicking up dust and then drops another bombshell. Momo's staying at Jiji's house for the weekend to cleanse it of the curse. Okarun freaks out, thinking it'll just be Momo and Jiji, but Momo reassures him she's inviting him too to make things less awkward. Hearing this, Okarun vows to get the job done so Jiji can go home. Later that night, Taro bolts out of the school, desperate to see Hana. On his way, he scares off some students trying to do a scene and then gets hit by a truck. Meanwhile, at the Aya's house, Momo stays up with Hana, promising her Taro will show up. By morning, Taro finally arrives, apologizing for being late and explaining he had to put himself back together after the truck incident. Momo, waking up from a nap, catches Taro kissing Hana and gets thanked for staying by her side. She's shocked when Taro mentions he plans to visit Hana every day. Meanwhile, Jiji's lying awake haunted by the memory of the spirit in his house. On the train ride to Jiji's village, Momo and Jiji are having a lively chat and Momo's happily munching on her favorite snacks that Jiji brought. Okarun, feeling left out, tries to distract himself by thinking about reclaiming his Kintama, but he accidentally blurts it out loud, which Momo finds hilarious. Jiji thinks it's a dirty joke, but Momo quickly shuts that down. Trying to steer the conversation, Okarun brings up the Tsuchinoko, which gets Momo's attention for a second, but then Jiji mentions there's a shrine dedicated to the Tsuchinoko in his village, stealing the spotlight again. Not to be outdone, Okarun brings up a Kappa shrine, which intrigues Jiji. The two end up having a surprisingly fun conversation about cryptids, and Jiji even calls Okarun a friend, which catches him off guard. And Okarun can't figure out why he doesn't dislike Jiji. When they arrive at the village, Momo's thrilled to see it's a hot springs district. Jiji explains his dad studies volcanoes, which is why they moved there. Momo asks if the volcano's active, but Jiji assures her it's been dormant for 200 years. After climbing a steep set of stairs, they finally reach Jiji's house. Momo doesn't sense anything weird and suggests they rest. Okarun notices something in the woods but brushes it off when Momo tells him to come inside. Little do they know, a group of people is watching them from the shadows. After searching the house for ghosts, Momo concludes the spirit must be hiding because its energy's too weak to detect, which makes her think it'll be an easy job. She decides to hit the hot springs while Okarun stays with Jiji, who invites him to play soccer. As Jiji teaches Okarun how to kick the ball, he casually asks if Okarun likes Momo. Okarun's stunned but says he respects her, which leads to a friendly debate about who likes Momo more. Meanwhile, Momo's relaxing in the hot spring, wondering if Okarun's getting along with Jiji. Unbeknownst to her, some creepy guys are peeking at her. Back at the house, Jiji playfully chokes Okarun to get him to admit defeat, but Okarun stops him and informs Jiji that he notices a mysterious structure connected to the house, a weird hidden room. Grabbing a sledgehammer, Jiji breaks through the wall and discovers a room filled with talismans. They're both shocked, realizing there's more to the house than they thought. At the hot spring, Momo starts feeling lightheaded and decides to leave, but as she's about to go, a group of men walks in, claiming it's a mixed bath, thanks to a rusted sign. One of them starts rambling about gators in hot springs that target women, and they slowly close in on Momo. She tries to use her powers but feels too weak to fight back. They grab her and push her underwater, leaving her helpless. Meanwhile, Jiji and Okarun are still processing the creepy talisman room, completely unaware of what's happening to Momo. And here ends the first season of Dandadan. To anyone who watched the recap up to this point, thank you so much. This was my first recap ever, so I apologize if there were any mistakes. Catch you in the next recap.